Good afternoon and welcome back to the channel. This video is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, make your own decisions. Okay, so we're seeing more liquidations in the Bitcoin and crypto market. I do want to make a point. Every time we see any type of significant dip, there's always liquidations. It never comes from solely selling spot Bitcoin. There's always liquidations. Now, the percentage, let's just say it drops 8%. Now, I guess it's different every single time how much of that drop was liquidations and how much of that was actually spot being sold. But not being able to know that and seeing the tight correlation between a sharp downward move and the volume of longs being liquidated, it's how am I supposed to look at this and say, oh, this is really bad, because people who are betting on the price going up on a very over leveraged position are being liquidated. Guys, as long as the supply is going down or in a long-term downtrend, maybe even leveling off sideways, I'm not changing my position. There'd be no reason for me to change my position because I see supply going down, okay? I've been very consistent on this. I remember when it originally dropped from, it was up at 69K, and then, there was a big liquidation event down into the 40s. And I remember saying at that point in time, if supply comes back on exchanges and we see a significant trend shift in that regard, and it looks like big hands, big billionaire CEOs, corporations are starting to get rid of Bitcoin and starting to take it off their balance sheet, I'm more than happy to reassess how I view this. But at the current moment in time, I haven't, every time we see these dips, you never hear of a big billionaire coming out and saying, yeah, I'm selling for X, Y, and Z reasons. You never hear one of these corporations coming out and saying, yeah, we're getting rid of this. Not a good fit for us right now. Maybe later on down the road, but we're no longer going to keep Bitcoin on our balance sheet. We never hear that, right? It's always this unexpected selling coming out of Asia, or some other type of selling, or selling coming from somebody, a wallet or a number of wallets that has held that Bitcoin for a very short period of time, right? We see just the opposite, right? We find out later that billionaires and institutions were accumulating during those times. So I haven't seen one example. I seriously don't think one example almost. Maybe there's one or two out there that I just don't remember in the last year, but pretty much every single time this happens, it's like we always find out later, or we find out right at that point in time because they make some type of an announcement that, one or two or multiple different institutions bought and billionaires were also accumulating. So in my opinion, what this is these are scare tactics. They're trying to scare people out of the market. We are in a channel, in a ascending channel. I can post that in the community tab. Individual I follow on Twitter just laid it all out. So, we're not at the very bottom of this channel. Who knows whether or not we'll go all the way down there. Guys, there's nothing that you can look at, in my opinion, to accurately assess what's going to happen with the price. All right, if you can't look at supply and demand metrics, and think about this. Over the last year, everybody talked about institutional adoption forever, right? Forever. I remember when I got in a year ago, that's all anybody was talking about. Well, when institutional adoption happens, when the institutions start adopting it. Well, that just happened over the last 12 months. All of Wall Street, all of big tech, pretty much every notable billionaire investor outside of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, every other big billionaire investor is out in front of a camera every second that they get telling people to buy Bitcoin and buy crypto. So we saw it across the board. Large corporations, Amazon, Walmart came out and made an announcement. They're rolling out their strategy. All of big tech, all of Wall Street, all the big hedge funds, BlackRock, Vanguard, Fidelity, State Street, they're all in, right? And so we saw that happen, but yet it had no impact on the price. If anything, the price might be a little bit down since all of that started happening. Imagine that. Imagine a 12-month period where all major Wall Street banks, all the big tech, all the big billionaire CEOs come out and say, yep, we're buying, we're now putting this on their balance sheet. I hold Bitcoin, Ethereum personally, so on and so forth. Imagine that over a 12-month time frame, and it has no impact on the price, but at the exact same time, the supply is going down. Think about that. That's the situation that we're in right now, all right? So I think it's funny. I do. I think it's funny. And that there's serious conversations being had right now about, oh, well, this is really bad. See, the thing is that when the price drops, it's the atmosphere and it's a general atmosphere that has been created in crypto where everybody has to panic. Everybody has to get all like shock content, started putting out, oh, this is really bad. We could go down here. And it's like every single time we drop by 5%, everybody has to rush out in front and get on the tube and tell everybody how low that we could in theory go, right? And it's like everybody gets the fear atmosphere is present in retail, and it doesn't appear to be present with the big billionaire class. Why is it that every time, and there's a lot of examples to go over here. Why is it that in none of their interviews that they've done recently over the last few weeks or over the last few months, why did they not sound concerned, right? When they're talking about, when Kevin O'Leary is talking about going from 3% to 5% to 10% to 20%. Right? Why does Ray Dalio? Why does Paul Tudor Jones? Why is Elon Musk? Why are none of these people, why are not Peter Thiel? Why are none of these people ever sounding concerned about the price action when they're coming out and advocating for and promoting Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and telling you that they're buying it? Just maybe a worthwhile, but it's like that in retail. And it's like that in retail because of the content creators, because of the atmosphere they have created, and because they have chosen to talk about all these minute day-to-day things. And it's an emotional roller coaster that they've created in the space by focusing on those things and forgetting to, or just omitting the bigger picture in most every single scenario like this. So the second that the billionaires start getting out, and there's numerous examples of this, and the corporations start getting out, and the supply starts, the supply trend changes drastically. As soon as that happens, I'm 100% willing to alter my position. But until then, I'm going to continue business as usual. I'm going to continue to buy. I've been buying on a weekly basis for a year at this point, and that's not going to change because the reality of it is that this is the new internet and financial system. They've told you that. And we're in the transitionary process to the new system. And that's why they've been rolling it out and implementing it all over the world with every major bank, corporation, and government over the last year. So given that, seems like a safe place for me to be when you're looking at all the options and the risk reward associated with that. Now, as you know, I'm starting to get a decent size silver position because I like being able to have that on hand, that like hard physical asset. And that's that, but that's my opinion on everything. You should make your own decisions, look at all your options, look at the allocation that makes the most sense for you. And that's what you should do. Okay. So that's pretty much all I got. That's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to reiterate that. And, please make your own decisions. All right. I am more than comfortable and happy with my decisions. I bought some more ICP. I'm going to buy some more this week. Guys, I don't care when stuff like this happens. Okay. I get paid this week. I also have some other, cash coming in probably towards the end of the week. So I'm, in all honesty, I'm thrilled because I don't think that this is going to last forever. I think that 2022 is the year that we have a serious breakout in the market. But, guys, me predicting price action is, it's a crapshoot. It really is, because there's no real metrics that you could look at to be able to determine that, in my personal opinion. Sure, you can look at the MACD, the RSI, you can look at all these, regression bands and all these Fibonacci levels and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, I've been paying close attention over the last year. I don't know anybody who's been able to nail this down. I mean, for the most part, it's normally bulls and bears are both wrong. Because in my opinion, this is a heavily, heavily manipulated market. There is way too much at stake for them not to have all of these different markets completely under their control, right? When they go up, in my opinion, that's when they decide they're going to go up. When they go down, they decide they're going to go down. There's a lot of incentive for them to completely control these markets. If you look at the broader economic situation that's happening all around the world, and if you look at the housing market, the stock market, the bond market, all these different markets, there's too much at stake for them to not manipulate these markets, in my opinion. So we already know, I mean, if it wasn't for what they're doing with interest rates and QE, I think it's safe to say that the stock market would not be sitting where it is. On top of that, also with mortgage-backed securities, the housing market, right? So, and we know that they've been busted, JP Morgan, numerous times for manipulating the precious metals market. So we know that there's heavy market manipulation, and they're actively buying bonds, right? Or at least they have been for however long. So there's heavy manipulation that's not really even contested. It'd be hard to even argue against that in other markets. Why wouldn't they be doing the same thing with the crypto market? There would be almost more incentive, as much as any other market, for them to be in the crypto market, heavily manipulating this market. So when I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, they got it under control, and it will go up when they decide it's going to go up. I do believe they're going to decide that it's going to go up this year, because I think that this is the mainstreaming. And I think that we're kind of coming to a head with a lot of things that are happening all around the world. I'll briefly speak on that really quick, and then I'm going to be done. I mean, if you guys, I think that any videos that are coming out of other countries showing X, Y, or Z, I think it's always important to take everything that you see with a grain of salt. But it looks like the stuff coming out of Shanghai is legitimate. If I'm wrong on that, or if that's been proven false, let me know in the comment section below. But, I go back to what the guy from BlackRock said. I believe his name is Edward Dowd, or he's that old BlackRock executive. And he's kind of been speaking out a lot about a lot of different things happening over the last few months. And he was the one that originally came out a couple months ago and said, yeah, we're at the end. And this is the end of this, system that they have created, and they've blown global debt sky high. And, markets are about to become very unstable. And then he also went on to say that a lot of the things that, in his opinion, a lot of the things that governments were doing it to quell any riots that may take place after everything falls apart. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And they're not going to come out and tell you, they'll come out and tell you, watch out for, higher inflation. Oh, on top of that, I believe, and I have to see the official statement, but I believe the White House said that, expect a, elevated inflation number that's going to come out. So that's going to happen too. The inflation number is going to come out I think it's this week or next week, but it's coming out soon. But just think about it, guys. They've printed trillions and trillions of dollars. Look at how much inflation has gone up. Take into account that every major bank, corporation, and government has gotten into crypto and Bitcoin, has come out and advocating for it. It's on the front of Goldman Sachs' website. Every single notable billionaire investor is coming out and telling you to buy Bitcoin and crypto. And on top of that, all the money that they printed, how high inflation has gone, and it's done nothing for the price. All right, so while supply is going down, and in a long-term downtrend, and here recently in a very sharp downtrend, but yet it has no impact on the price. I just ignore it. I laugh at it. Right? It's fake. It means nothing to me. All right. It only drops the price a little bit so I can accumulate more at that price as opposed to the price being 10-20% higher, because I would be buying at those prices too. So, but I do believe in, like, when I'm doing my dollar cost average, I don't just blanketly do it any particular day. I always make sure that I'm buying red. And if it's like a big green day, I would wait a few days for the pullback, and then I would buy. So that's that. But guys, a lot of these other things that are happening all around the world, it does seem like we're coming to a head, and it looks like the situation, I believe China came out today and said that, the U.S. was, I'm paraphrasing, but the U.S. was like an instigator in this Russia and Ukraine crisis, and essentially blaming a lot of things on the U.S. with this. And so that situation, it's like we might hear one day peace talks are happening. We hear next day that it could escalate, and it could go into other countries and all this other stuff. So it seems like we're sitting on the verge of something else escalating, whether it be with that situation or maybe something else happens. But I would just recommend, one, that you make your own decisions and you do your own research, but two, to take what's happening right now all around the world seriously and understand that things can go from being relatively normal here to being very, very chaotic in a short time period. right? And there's too many catalysts out there that they've even told us about. But there's just a lot of catalysts out there that things could change at the drop of a dime. So be prepared, right? Make your own decisions. Do what you feel like is best for you. Try to get any loose ends tied up before whatever happens. But I would say if you're looking around the world at everything happening right now, this is a trend. And the trend is quality of life and living conditions are getting worse month over month, quarter after quarter. So I don't see the thing that's going to step in and improve that trend or stop that trend from continuing to get worse. And maybe you do, but I don't see it in the foreseeable future. So I would take what you're seeing right now very serious and do what you need to do to protect yourself. So that's all I have for this video. Thank you everyone who has liked, share, and subscribed. Not financial advice. Take care. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next video.